So the first thing I wanted to show you is that I mean, I've flip-flopped on this a lot, and I'm just even with the last couple days, actually. And the final version of my decision for this internal home lab network, I talked about this before. I talked about wanting to simulate an air-gapped environment, and I thought, well, it's going to be a hassle. But in my heart, I know it's the right thing to do. It's the thing that I want to promote. I know that it's not enterprisey. It's more government, investment banky. Um, but I like it. It makes me feel happy. So I'm just going to really quickly at the beginning of this video, nobody's even joined the stream yet on Twitch. I just went ahead and started blah, blah, blah. And people will say hi and trickle on in. But I wanted to give the overview first of where I've landed. And I actually just re-implemented this whole thing last night, including testing the Pixie boot and iPixie boot and everything. So this is sound. This is going to stick. I did have one problem with the static route on Anton, which I'll get to in a sec. So let me just kind of go over the whole thing. By the way, this is now thanks to the member, the anonymous person out there who gifted me a year membership to Excalidraw.com. That makes it possible for me to organize this a little bit better. I will be moving these diagrams into their own spaces later. In fact, I might just go ahead and try that right now, actually. So as you can see, I'm logged in. And that'll provide a means for you all to link into the exact diagrams as opposed to having to just get this one. So let's put this one diagram into it. I like the idea of having everything on a single diagram, but still, let's see if we can copy. I mean, I don't know. Copy styles, group, ungroup. I wonder if we can actually. I wonder if we can do that. If we can. I don't even know if that's going to work. I don't know if we can copy between stuff. You know what I mean? I don't know. Let's try. So I mean, here's how you can do that. Now that I have this here, right? I have like a public whiteboard. Let's actually add a new one, and we're gonna get to it. I want to go ahead and do the work for this first. Untitled scene, rename. We'll call this simulated air gap network, simulated home air gap network. Hey, should we capitalize that? I don't know. How you doing, last cookie? So let's see. It's driving me crazy. Sometimes I like title text and sometimes I don't, right? But this one I kind of do. Simulated air gap network. So go back to the whiteboard. Let's go grab this. I don't know if this is even possible. I really am really loving this thing though. Copy as SVG. I think that's what we want. I don't know though. Nope, you can't. I think we're probably gonna have to export the whole thing and import it. How's it going, recursive tree? So, and then we'll get into it. Add comment. Cool. Now that I'm kind of invested in it, I'm gonna go ahead. I mean, it was $75. Whoever contributed that to me, you don't have to dox yourself, but thank you so much for that. Somebody. I mean, I was cheap. I probably should have went ahead and bought a year. I'll continue my year subscription after that. But somebody gave me a year sub to Excalibur. I really appreciate it. I don't know if it was actually from somebody from Excalibur, but I got this email that said, "Hey, thank you for, we don't do this normally, but someone wants to pay for you." So, anyway, so I don't, maybe I just drag them. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh my God, that would be so cool. I doubt it. No, that doesn't work. That doesn't work. Please tell me I didn't just screw up my document. I did. I just totally screwed up my thing. Well, I do have. I have a copy of this on. Did that autosave it? Please tell me it didn't autosave it. Did it autosave it? How come there's no undo? Undo. Undo. Watching Rob fail as usual. No, that does not let me undo. That was bad. There's no undo. What? There is no undo. Anyway, so let's do this. Let's do an import on this. I have another way to fix it. So let's do no import. Import. This is saving GitHub and everything in case I screw it up. That's another reason I want to do this. Control V, Control C, Control V. I tried that. Yeah. That did not work. Whiteboard Excalidraw open. So that there's the same diagram. I think I'm probably just gonna do that. So let's do this, and then we'll delete out these pieces here of this one. Delete. And the thing of it is, I don't have to store them locally now. I will, but I don't need to. Yeah, I love this tool. I really do. All right, so that simulated air gap network. Let's just jump right into it. Now that, of course, is now saved, and it's cool that it automatically saved it too. I kind of am scared of that though. So shareable link, view only, copy. There you go. There you go. So that link should not change. Last time I had to post it every time. So that is going to go on some form of page that I have eventually. I need to go ahead and just actually do a website. I have like my Zet and everything, but I need to start publicly putting blogs and stuff on my website. And there's like a million things I want to do, but that's one of the many things. So yeah, anyway, that should be good. Hey, look. Oh my God, it shows where you're looking. It shows where you're looking. Oh my God. Oh my God. I am so loving this right now. Hell, you can put your Twitch name and I can tell who's even looking at what. You can't change anything, right? I am loving this. I am loving this. It's like all these people like running around. Oh my heck, this is so great for streaming. This is so great for streaming. It's like interactive whiteboard design. We could actually make a whiteboard where y'all could like draw, penises or something on the whiteboard. that's of course, that's the first thing somebody would draw. Is read only? I didn't realize it was read only. Yeah, that's cool. Do you know what I like about this? Is that somebody can ask a question in Twitch about something and they can point at it. So they can say, this is part right here. I don't get this. What does this mean right here? Or you have a mistake right here or something. You know what I mean? Oh my heck, that is like so stinking cool. I love that. Nice diagram. Well, thank you. I mean, I love diagramming. That's my problem is I was obsessed with drafting as a kid. I had a full-size pencil drafting table that occupied probably 25% of my room for most of my teenage years and preteen years. So, and I was obsessed about diagramming and making Dungeons and Dragons dungeons on graph paper and that kind of thing. Hey, thanks for the sub. Draw in some kind of on. Yeah, of course they would. Yeah, they would. Obviously, they're gonna draw those things. That's the first thing they draw. I mean, every time you play Dota 2 with somebody, they're like drawing, penises, whatever, or boobs or whatever. I mean, yeah, okay, enjoy being 12, but so we probably wouldn't allow that. But yeah, I love that you can change your name though. Hey, Big Papa Frump. So let's actually talk about this. I mean, this is really fun. I'm super happy that we can do this. We couldn't do this before because I didn't have a membership. So somebody actually gifted that membership again. I thank you very much for that. And I'm going to kind of zoom in and just cover the entire diagram. I think the diagram's actually done finally. So the overall point of the diagram, it used to be ultra super safe, data home lab, and I went ahead and I changed the title to be Simulated Air Gap Data Center Home Lab, and so that's what it is. If you don't know what air gapped is, just really quickly, air gapped is. Let's do a search. Shall we do a search? I think Anton's off right now. Is Anton? Oh, Anton's got troubles lately because I put X on him. You see this? And it keeps crashing now. Ever since I put Gnome on him, now he crashes all the time. So that's not a good thing to do. I'm just warning you. I wonder if I can zoom in, if I can SSH into him though. Let's go see. Because I want to do my regular test. I don't think I can actually. I think he's on a different network now. Yeah, he gets hung up now because of the stupid Gnome stuff. Yeah, I can't even SSH to him anymore. So I'm going to rebuild Anton later. That's going to happen today too. That'll be later tonight. But for now, let's see if I can even log in. So, okay, so we are, it's funny because my fan just came on my computer. So this is Gnome Shell installed without any other desktop manager at all. And there's lots of cool things you can do. I mean, I tried to open a terminal and it hung last time too. There's something wrong with the X setup on this machine. So I'm going to be resetting Anton today. I'm going to be rebuilding a new one. I also got X to work remotely, which I would show you if I could get on, but right now I can't. So a bunch of stuff here. See, my terminal's hanging. It won't even fire up a terminal. It has something to do with my bash RC and the addition of my display stuff. It's hanging on one of my bash RC entries. So I might have to go change that. I wonder if I could edit it with a text editor really quick. Nothing strange there. What? Oh, this. Yeah, it's just not logging in. So where's the text editor? There's like there we go, text editor, and we're gonna go open bash RC from the text editor's browser. Yeah, I broke everything when I put GNOME on here. Anton is a Ubuntu server. It's now running GNOME though because I installed the Ubuntu shell while I was setting up the X forwarding stuff for the virtual manager, which is super cool. You can put X on anything. In fact, it was a real fun thing because I built my own desktop environment without, it uses LightDM. I just installed Gnome Shell. So this is Gnome Shell Gnome Shell is like the lightest weight way you can get to it. Oh, hey, it made it on. Holy shit. It finally made it on. What was it hanging on? Oh, I think must have been the SSH agent PID for Vert Manager, right? Yeah. So let me make sure my agent's working. Yeah. So I added a bunch of security too, and okay, there we go. So as you can see, you can't ping anything. This is Google's name server. From here, it's like totally unreachable. Even if you add the paths, you still can't ping it. So, but over here, you should be able to. Yep. And of course, then you can still ping the internal address. Oh, that's my Excalidraw thing. Yeah. Anyway, so Anton is up. Anton's not happy right now, though. So I am actually going to be rebuilding Anton. I mean, there's a bunch of things I was playing around with. Like, you can run gears and everything. So check this out. So, well, I'm getting distracted. So here I am on a remote system. This is over here in the rack. And I can run anything. So, GLX gears. Oh, wait, do I not have... Wait, I don't think I have my X server running on Windows yet right now. Nope. Oh, it's there, but it's just not happy. I must have broke it. How did I break it? Oh, it's a different IP. That's why. Yeah, that's why my logins failed too. Yeah. Yeah, that's gonna be a problem. All right, so let me go see here. Yeah, I need to change some IPs because I redid my whole networking, so I'm going to be doing a lot of that tonight. In fact, I'll do all this work stuff later. Let's finish going through this. So we have, where is Zen mode? So the simulated home like air gap. So an air gapped environment, which I was going to go search for. What is air gapped? What is air gapped? Air gap networking just means that there's no wires connecting to things. Having no direct computer internet access to things. So it's really common to have like an air gap laptop for security. The only thing that allows anything on there is through data transfer through a USB stick or something. You got to be careful with those too. There's lots of ways you can own those. But an air gap network just means there's nothing else. Now, who uses an air gap network? Why is it important? What is an air gap? That's plumbing. Air gap security measure is this network security measure employed one or more computers to ensure that security computer network is physically isolated from unsecure networks, such as a public internet or an unsecured local area network. It means a computer or network has no network interface controllers connected to other networks with a physical or conceptual air gap. Now, this thing, I have a conceptual air gap by using a VLAN, analogous to the air gap used in plumbing to maintain water quality. So there's nothing touching. Wait, which one is which? All right, close this one. Close that one. Okay. So there's nothing touching. I mean, there's actually physically there's a bunch of stuff touching, but I have two networks. We have the VLAN 18, and I want to talk about 198. It's like, what the hell is up with 198.18? That's not a private network range. It actually is, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So the air gap network is everything in the like the orange is separated from the internet. It's conceptually disconnected from the internet completely. It's as if I had set up a router, a switch, plugged everything into the switch, and that switch didn't talk to anything else. In fact, these managed switches down here, if I had combined those managed switches and just plugged all of this into a single physical managed switch, it would be exactly the same thing. In fact, if I wanted to implement this without using a VLAN, I could do that. If I wanted to, I could replace the managed switch right here. Hey, Charles. If I wanted to, I could replace the managed switch right here with a physical managed switch, and have this thing and this thing plug into it, right? And if I did that, and I still wanted the same ability to connect from Anton to both of them, I'd have to add an interface, a physical interface, to my machine, which I've done in the past. In the old days, we had to do that. I would add another actual physical network interface, and I would have plugged that into the unmanaged switch, so that the only thing that, the stuff connected to this would just be these machines in this cluster here, these machines down here in this cluster, and this virtual server host cluster server. And so that would all be physically connected and with no physical connection to anything else. And if I wanted to make it ultra secure, I just unplug the wire that's connected to Anton, right? So if I were to do the physical nature of this, I would have had another unmanaged switch, right? So rather than having this really fancy VLAN, which I finally figured out using port mapping over the tag stuff, which is simpler, and I'll get to that. I could go ahead and I can actually have another physical managed switch over here, and all of these pink things would be plugged into that, and then they would be plugged into the internet. And if I had the two physical interfaces to this machine, actually that line is wrong. The line should be pointing to the machine itself, not the virtual machine, because it's the virtual machine's bridge to the actual physical network. So if I had two network interfaces and going that would be a physical separation of the two, and that would be 100% air gapped as long as I disconnected these. If I disconnected those wires, there would literally be nothing connecting the two networks physically at all. There would be nothing. There's literally no wires connecting the two. And that is preferred for a number of deployments for banking and as we said, government and hacking and stuff like that. There's a lot of reasons to have a physically separated network. They're not popular in the enterprise, obviously, because your users, what are they going to do, right? The truth of the matter is that there are air gap networks all over the place in enterprise. They're just not talked about very much because your stuff running on them is usually really secret. It's really top level security stuff. And they have them. And so their user base, if you were to draw a line here, the user base, whoops. So the user base of most enterprises is this. So all of this stuff over here on the right is what you'd see in an enterprise, right? You have a firewall, you have outbound internet access for everybody. Maybe you shut down HTTP access and run it through a SOX proxy to make sure people don't go to bad sites, so you can audit it all. I mean, that's a standard enterprise deployment. Your company's air gapped? Really? Interesting. So it is very much a real thing to have a physical air gap like that. The other day, I have to say it because the other day I had to kind of defend myself against somebody who has network experience, a professional. It was like, this is the most convoluted, complex networking system ever. This does not represent reality in the enterprise network world. They literally said that. It's on a video somewhere. You can go watch it. And I said, well, maybe you're just not aware of these other, air gap scenarios. And if you're in security at all, especially if you're in, high-end security, like enterprise level security, then you have to understand an air gap network. This is the reason that I felt so uncomfortable setting up this in my Homelab, this like loosey-goosey sort of everything can see the internet network. Because it's like, it doesn't simulate anything that I care to recreate. So I'm super excited about this, obviously. It's not just the coffee. I'm actually really excited I got this to work because what I have right now is 100% a conceptual air gap network. And you know what? I'm going to change the word simulated to conceptual. I like that word. That was from Wikipedia. Conceptual air gap data center. So, and it's a Homelab. It is. This is a Homelab. Okay, so how's that? Is that better? So, oh wait, this is not using the. This is using the localized one. Gotta be really sure I don't click on save there. What the hell happened? Am I still working on the right one? Ooh, I'm kind of worried right now because I don't want to blow away my other stuff. In fact, I'm so worried I'm going to make a copy of that file so I don't do it on accident. Copy, paste. How do I paste it? Do I paste it? Documents. Paste. Wipe copy. I mean, that's good enough. That makes me feel good. Okay. So, am I not logged in? What the hell? Why is this one? Oh, I'm logged in. Okay. All right. I was freaking out unnecessarily. Although, am I really though? What the hell is going on? Why is it not showing my users over here anymore? Hey, how are you, Bond? So we need to go to server room to log into those server. Do you really? Yeah. Do you have a gateway to nowhere, right? So that's what this is my gateway to nowhere. Anyway, so let me finish. I mean, I think I've covered the main point. So let's talk about the details about how to implement this. So, yeah, okay. So the general concept for me is that I'm using a VLAN instead of the physical switch like we talked about. I'm using the Netgear. I'm really glad I paid $360 for this managed network router, and I haven't used any of the VLAN functionality until this week. And I've had it for several years. I knew eventually I would. It has PoE on here too for devices that run over power over Ethernet, which we'll eventually use as well. It's all fun stuff in your lab. I mean, really great toys in your home lab. I mean, I'm so glad I invested in that. It's the second from the highest on the Netgear consumer grade stuff. So, and I have that PDF on it. I went through the whole thing. It's got a really great explanation of VLANs in general. in the Netgear. I'm super impressed with the Netgear company. I always have been, by the way. I've always been a huge Netgear fan, more than Cisco, and mostly because I don't deal with enterprise grade hardware, and Cisco has always rubbed me the wrong way anyway. But the Netgear PDF is really, really amazing at explaining how VLANs work. What's the difference between a VLAN with that's using port based versus tags. And by the way, it turns out you don't need tags. So let's talk about VLANs really quick. VLANs are just a way to virtually separate the ports in your router through different means, and ultimately the traffic going through the router. There's two ways to do VLAN. There's port-based VLANs, and then there's the 802.1q standard, which lets you tag all the packets. And that, honestly, that's cool and all, but the only reason you'd really ever need tagged packets, it turns out, after going through all of this the hard way, is if you have multiple switches and you need all of them to share network by tagging packets, and the packets are going to be flying all over the place around each other. In fact, using tagged VLANs, to me, for most situations, I think would probably be a bad idea. It does allow you to create VLANs that are composed of multiple switches across multiple devices across the internet. I mean, it can go anywhere. They all have to have tagging. So, but the reason that I don't like tagged VLAN stuff for most purposes is because of the complexity. It's really easy to get it wrong. And the whole thing with like using VLAN 1 as your default on Cisco, there's like a double tagging thing. And I actually deleted the video I posted, but the first time I discovered all of these vulnerabilities in the standard, in the 802.1q standard for double tagging and all of these attacks, primarily on Cisco hardware for VLANs, I was like, I don't want anything to do with VLANs at all. It turns out what I don't want anything to do with is tagged VLANs. And so Netgear has another way of doing it. I don't know if it does tagging under the hood, but as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, it does not. So in fact, I'm going to actually show you how I do all of this management. I'm going to pull up my VLAN, my Netgear router. There's nothing to hide here. Oh, that's right. I changed the IP. We're on 198. I'm going to talk about that in a second. You're like, why the hell is he on this weird network? And we're not on OPNsense. I'll talk to you about that later. In fact, I might have to use the discovery tool to find out what the IP is now, because I switched over to DHCP and I don't remember it. So it's weird, because trust me on this one. So if you're using Netgear, other than nmapping your entire thing to see what lease is going to be the one, they actually have a tool. Netgear has a tool that I don't remember right now. Netgear, where is it? There it is. Switch discovery tool. This is like this kind of lame Windows tool. Another reason to run Windows on your main machine at home. I got to tell you, there's a bunch of these support tools that do not exist on Linux. So there it is. Ethernet 192.1.10 is what it found. It looks like it found it. Let's go see. Actually, 10. Is that it? I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. Yeah. Thank God for wine. Yeah. Well, I mean, wine's gotten a lot better. You gotta understand. I used wine at 95, 96, 97. Probably 98, actually. Yeah. And it was horrible. I mean, it was so bad. That's the last time I've ever had a really good. Okay, there we go. So, I mean, this is cool. I think it just nmaps your network and finds it. Here's the problem, though. It's on the 192 address network, and I can't get there because I don't have a path to the 192 network. And that's not in my range. I think I could actually add a route for that. Let me check. Ping 192. 60. I know I can add it to Anton. I did it already. Yeah. I did it already on Anton. So let's go back here. Yeah, in order to do this, I had to add an explicit route. So I mean, if I can get to mini, I should be able to do it. Nope. Maybe not. Maybe I removed my route. That's why. Sudo vi etc netplan. I love netplan. People hate on netplan all the time. I love it. So there's some other stuff here that I have to mess with right now. If I want to go to I need to add another route. So I'm going to go to 192.168 .1 .016. Actually, no, that 16 is the internet, and that goes to well, actually, we don't have a router for that. Oh, we don't have a router for that. I could send it to the 18 network. Yeah, because I'm on the 18 network right now. So yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. Sudo netplan apply. Let's see if I break something there. And ping 8.8.8.8. Make sure I can still have internet access. Make sure I can go to the internal network 198.19. 18, sorry, .1.1. That's our gateway, internal gateway. And we might have 192.168.1.99. I might be able to get to it. Nope. No route. IP routes. I always do that. So there's all the routes. Apparently the 18 was not, the 192.168 did not take because it didn't have a gateway. I tried to use the existing gateway and it didn't like it. So I have a hard time. I don't know how I'm going to be able to get here. The admin page is going to fail. No, I don't want that. I don't want this. My new switch versus, I tried to go do this. And it says, I'm sorry, you can't do that. Your device is too old. Yeah, I might be screwed. Because I changed my network over before I changed this. Done. Yeah, I can't see it. There's no route to it. So I don't know what to do there. It's not hard coded. It should have gotten a new DHCP address from the new lease. I should probably go expire the old lease in OPNsense. Yeah, let's do that. So let me see if I can get that. So this is OPNsense. It's super awesome. You know what? I'll do this offline. I don't want you to see. So, I mean, God forbid I make this accessible to the internet. That would suck. But just in case I ever do on accident. All right, I'm gonna expire the lease. I need to create a quick key for the thing there. So, go back to services, DHCP, leases. Yeah, I don't know if I want you to see all of that. I'm just looking through here to see. Yeah, there's nothing here that gives up any information. Nope, I don't see anything that gives up any information. Still, I don't want to take a chance in case I miss something. I mean, I already showed it to you, so. But I'm going to show all configured leases, not just the ones that are there, and that definitely will give up information that I don't want to give you. So let's see. I'm trying to find the lease. You know what? I'm going to have to power off the switch. That's what I'm going to have to do. Yep. That's the only way to do that. This is kind of Kubernetes, yeah. The only way, okay, I realize what I'm going to have to do now. I'm going to have to power off the switch so it'll get a new DHCP address. Yeah. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I don't know if I can, let's go back to the simulation here. So, and stuff. How's it going, Greg? So we've got this, so I need to power the switch off, and then it'll get a new IP address, and then I need to make it. I'm always going to leave it on DHCP because there's no way to access the switch directly. there's no like serial interface to the Netgear switch like the way with a Cisco router or something. So that means if you can disable the HCP on the switch, but that would be a really bad idea because you'd have to build a network to connect it to just to change its IP, which is, I mean, you could totally do that, but you always want to keep it on DHCP and figure out what the number is. That's so it can get discovered. And it did find the switch. It just found it on the bad DHCP address. So that means I have to reboot it to get it to grab a new lease. I thought I could force an expiration on the lease, but as far as the DHCP server is concerned, it doesn't exist because it's now only giving out 198.19 leases, and so it doesn't show it in the list of leases there. Let me confirm that one more time to make sure I got everything right. So if we go back to single gateway, I'm on my OPNsense thing. I'm going to leases services, DHCP for leases. Yeah, everything here is 198.19. When I click on show all configured, that there are no extras. So that is all there is. Yep, that's all there is. Okay, so nothing there to show. I'm wondering if it would be a good time to show you the configuration here. So let's go ahead and do that since I have it open. So I'm using OPNsense. If you don't know about OPNsense, go look at it. It's really awesome. And I mean, you can look at all the different things here. It's got a really great dashboard. I don't mind doxing my public IP, which is, there it is, 75.198.2.4. I have done extensive testing trying to break in and scan my IP through Spectrum, which is my provider. And, as far as I'm concerned, it's safe. So, and I've confirmed that with NahumSec, that other than OPSEC and determining where you live, having your IP public is really not a concern. So that's the thing. And then I have two interfaces activated on the OPNsense router. I have a WAN, and then I have this internal network 192.19.1. So let's talk about why that. So if you I'll go take you through the services, the DHCP leases here, and you can see that my leases are, there's the mask, and you can see that the leases go, I've set up the leases go from 1.10 to 245. Now, this is using, and I need to put this in the log. Is Anton still on? No, Anton's dead again. Anton has had problems ever since I put Gnome Shell in here. And it keeps crashing because of Gnome Shell. Once again, graphics suck. Graphics suck, man. Look at that. Gnome Shell crashed my machine. Crashed my Anton machine. Like all the way, like hard crash. Can't even get on it anymore. So yeah, I am not a fan of graphics anything. I'm probably going to be rebuilding Anton anyway. I did a lot of experimentation. Probably ran out of memory, but I gave it a lot of memory. I'm guessing that's why, though. That would make the most sense, right? I didn't originally allocate room for memory on there. How much did I give it? Yeah, look, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to purge Gnome Shell and get it off and everything. I don't know if I want to do that now or later. I'll do it because I need to do it for other thing. Look at the boot log. Yeah, I'm ooming. Yay. Yes, I'm an oomer today. I'm definitely an oomer. TM, RWX Rob's community, oomers. Okay, oomer. Yeah, GUI computers suck. Okay, oomer. Graphics user interfaces on Linux are horrible and buggy. You ran out of memory. So, okay, oomer. Are you okay oomering me? Because that's what it sounds like. I think you're okay oomering me, and you would be totally justified. I think I just got okay oomered. I did. I just got okay oomered. I know, but I know you're a nice person. I'm not. I try to be. No, not nice. Nope, not. I'm not nice. Okay, here we go. Anton is dead. Restart guest. Restart me. No, I would never do that. Oh, that's what the winky face is. Sarcasm. Don't you just love virtual machines, though? I mean, can you imagine if this was an actual machine? How hard it would be for me to do this part that I'm doing right now? I mean, and I used to have that. I'd have like 5 different computers and they would all be doing different things. So we have like all these different accounts on here. So apparently my system, I'm going to go turn Gnome Shell off. I think I'm running out of memory. And let's go reveal the oomerness of my world. The other thing too is, look, it must be running out of memory because I can't even fucking log in. You see how long it takes me to log in? You know why? I didn't take it on my bachelor's yet. I added the agent ID thing, so it starts up SSH agent, but probably doesn't have enough memory. Memory usage, 31%. Damn. Last time it eventually came around, so I added an SSH agent login automatically. Guiding runaway aircraft. Law officer, which comes from horse. Really? I did not know that. Marshalling comes from the name of a horse. Wow. Yeah. Why don't we just call it parsing or something? Anyway, while I'm waiting for Anton, which is not going to, let me talk about the DHCP stuff. So here's the DHCP ranges 198.10.1.10 all the way to this. Now, if you can't tell, this is a /16 CIDR. That means that there's 8 ones, dot 8 ones, dot all zeros, dot all zeros. That's my mask. And let me show you. In fact, Mossy gave me this network tool. This is hands down the most amazingest tool for doing subnet calculation I've ever seen. It's absolutely hands down my favorite. It's the only tool that actually helps me understand why that IP number that you have actually starts at 0. Now, I know a lot of us were confused the other day because we were doing this. We were trying to do .0 / 24. This is the standard one everybody uses, right? And like, oh, hey, look, it starts with 1.1. And they're like, well, what happens if you change it to 23? And it goes to 0. It starts the range. Which can be compressed is better than RDoc for Erico. Yes. So you see here, it goes to 0 and then to 1. You know why? Because it expanded the range and it included the range that begins before that range. So at that point, your IP address, this is no longer a network address, right? Your IP address, which .0 is a valid IP address. This is something that I was reminded of that I really need to stress. Just because something ends with .0 does not mean it's a network address. Just because something ends with 255 does not mean it's a broadcast address. And just because something ends with .1 does not mean it's a gateway. It depends on the mask. And so, in fact, I've got 198.19.1.1, which is actually in the middle of the IP range I'm going to tell you about. But I did that just for consistency because people are so used to that 1.1 for gateways. But it's actually in the middle of the subnet range. And there's no rules about the gateway having to be the first IP address in the subnet range. That's just a convention that's existed since forever. Yeah. And so when we change this 1 bit, we've actually opened up the entire range. So we get 2 subnets. So if you give yourself an extra bit, you get 2 /24 subnets, 1 in .0 and 1 in .1. And that's why it goes all the way up to 254. So having said that, this is the standard internal reserved address space is actually not 192.168.1. It's not a /24. The actual reservation, which we will go look at the RFCs, which I put in my documentation, my Z. The actual RFC says that /16 is the subnet. Now, it just so happens that every private, Netgear router out in the world pretty much divides that up into a /24 for your home network, which gives you, 254 machines. No, that's not right. It gives you 250. The 4. Yeah, that's right. Because zeros is, yeah. And then, but I mean, that's the actual subnet of the range. Well, it turns out that there is another, I'm going to prove it to you. So if you go to the RFC, I'm not even going to go to a summary of it. I'm going to show you the actual RFC. Reserved IP ranges for well, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Use IPv4 addresses, RFC archives. Okay, so throughout history, blah, blah, blah. So this is a link to every single IP range that is used out there that's defined by the internet. And I did a little bit of research on the best solution for a home lab, and I came across this brilliant retired network engineer who found, made the discovery about the 192 network, and we're going to get there. But I got to tell you, it's absolutely brilliant. I am so on board with this. I know it's a small thing, but it just makes me so happy. Because one of the biggest problems with this, after we go through these IP ranges, is conflicts. And you can read, is other octets, so 13, yes. And so if you look at, so let's zoom in here. So, I mean, there's a bunch of these ranges. This is traditionally the range, the private range that's used by companies. It's used by VPN providers and all this stuff. Okay, so why do you care? Because if you pick a private IP range without doing some complicated NAT stuff, network address translation stuff that allow you to have the same, network ranges and then just have it be natted off from without a bunch of complicated NAT extra crap, then you're going to have conflicts with default home hardware, with, somebody's VPN somewhere, or with Docker, which uses 172, which makes sure the IP range isn't used, but still, the 172.12 network, .16/12 network is used by Docker and stuff like that. So this is the 10 dot. So everyone's like, why don't you use a 10 dot? Well, first of all, I don't need an entire 10 dot addressing thing. If I look at IP addresses, I like to be able to know immediately that if it's a 10 dot, that means it's something substantial. That means I'm connected to my Homelab router, I'm connected to Hack the Box VPN, any number of possibilities. When I see a 10 dot, I want to keep the assumption that 10 dot is something bigger than my data center lab, right? Whether it's at home or at work. And because I have air gapped everything, that means I can, be even more sure of it. So there's a bunch of other IP blocks here. In 1996 for provisioning IP on cable television systems. Okay, so here's the private. This is the absolute, loopback. You would never ever use that. This one too. The local link block, don't use that. Okay, so this is another private. This is a class C. So there's 3 private classes of addresses. This is the private class A block that everybody uses internally because it gives you like millions of IP addresses potentially. It's the biggest possible network range that any private organization can use, short of getting their own class A, which you can and some have. And IPv6 only has one address for the back. Oh, really? I did not know that. And so it also allows you to IPv6 also allows you to provide individual device. It gives you, as I understand it, but as I understand it in IPv6, you can actually assign internal IPs that are public internet as well. Anyway, so 192, this is this block. So this is the class C, which the only thing I know of that uses is Docker. It is nice, but it's not, and it's pretty big. It's a /12. It's a lot bigger than the one I ended up using, but it's kind of weird. It does, let me show you. The ranges are not, if I remember right, they don't end on like 1. And that's something that is really weird. I guess they do. 16, so 16.0.1 all the way up to 31. Okay. And that's a perfectly good range. One of the reasons I'm not using it is because when I want to go, am I on finally? Okay, here we go. I actually need to do something. Sudo apt purge Gnome Shell. I don't want it on here at all. And I need to turn off X services completely. Yeah, that probably broke my interface. Anyway, that'll keep us from crashing. Oh god, not bash top. I wanted to just do regular top. Memory pressure. Yeah, we're fine memory wise. We should be fine. Okay, so anyway, what I was gonna say, I'm also gonna disable another couple things before I forget. So I added a display export. Oh, that's why. It exported the wrong display number, which is a bad idea. You should never export your display. It should depend on what it looking it up, right? I should have exported the display as like host name or the IP. Yeah. HTOP, the bash top. It is. It just takes a long time to boot up. We'll take that off. The agent stuff I think is probably fine. So we'll leave that. Anyway, so what I was going to say is, so like when you do IP, IP, where's my alias on that? I need to add an alias for that. Aliases, alias. I added it to the other one. IP should be IP-C. All right, so x bash-l. Why am I waiting again? Because the SSH agent. All right, I'll have to take the agent out of there. Oh. Why is the agent taking so long? It should not take that long. Anyway, back to what I was talking about. So I was going to show that 172 is Docker. So like when you do that list of all those virtual IP addresses and everything, just being able to look at the IP addresses is kind of nice to know that. I mean, you can look at the Ethernet devices, but sometimes they're pretty weird. And I mean, that's fine. I should probably get good with that too. But seeing that the 172 ones are Docker and Podman, and the 10 dots are my VPNs and stuff like that, and then the 192s are all stuff. I should not actually have any 192s at all. If I do, that means that there's something left over from my old network. All the new stuff is either going to be 198.19 or 198.18. And so, yeah, Bash is not happy over here. And so anyway, let's go down. Let's keep going down here. So, and you're like, ooh, 192. Okay. So what's up that, by the way, the class A is 10 dot, the class B is 172.16, the class C is 192.168/16. Okay. But then you have these other servers in the background. What are we talking about? Yeah. Yeah. Welcome. First time chatter. Yeah, that's my cluster. If you want it, you can go see you can go look at the link here. I think that's a shareable link, but I don't know. Let me go see if I can get the shareable link again. Share. What is this? No, I guess that's coffee. You can go check it out. This is got some of my stuff on there. My Homelab is actually documented in Homelab. Don't I have a command for that yet? Damn. All right, so it's github.com rvxrob Homelab. And that's got all the details on my Homelab here. I don't mind doxing my Homelab because if it helps for educational purposes. Yeah. And there you are, by the way. I can see your cursor if you just joined. We should be able to see your cursor. There you are. You got to go down. You got to scroll down. You got to scroll down here and you can go look at it. Yep. See there you are. Welcome to my diagram. So, and you can't change anything, hopefully. We've just been experimenting with this. So, these are the racks that are over there, the ones that you can see over there. That's what they are. Okay, so we actually got into that. I'm going to turn off that agent the SSH agent must be the thing that's taking its time. That's the only thing I can figure. Bash shell. No, there must be something else in there. I don't know what else is going on over there. It's got to be that GNOME shit. And then I got rid of all the GNOME shit, so I don't know what's going on. It's taking forever. I got to clean up Anton. Redesign the network to create backdoors. No. I mean, I might on accident, but anyway, so here we go back to the subnet siders, right? So here comes the fun stuff. So just when you thought there were only 3 usable IP subnet ranges for use at home or work, it turns out there's another one. There's another one quietly hiding in there that this guy discovered, which I forget his name, and what the range is for, it's the 192. It's like, because there's like the 192 range. This is all taken 192 to 88, 192 to 68, set aside for use in private networks, right? Configures for DHCP. It uses 192.0. Yeah, and that's probably okay. This block is assigned for testnet for use in documentation example code. Yes. And that's cool for documentation and example code. Now, you could actually do that, right? It is, but the problem is it's a /24, so it's not nearly big enough, right? But there's another test range that is guaranteed not to ever be assigned. And as long as your network never touches any other test network, you're fine. So this block is set aside for private. We know about that. Here it is. And first time I saw it, I saw /15 and I thought it was a mistake. I thought it had been written in the blogger's blog wrong. It's actually not. It's not even a 16, which means it's right between, well, it's bigger than the class C. I mean, the class B, the 172 is the class B. It's slightly bigger than that. So this block can be validated for and used for benchmarking tests of network of network interconnect devices. Its use is documented in RFC2D4, which you can read. And there's the guy who blogged about this. I might be able to find his blog actually. Where is it? I think it would probably be. It's in my Zettelcast and I can go find it. Oh God, just gonna try to go there. No, I have it. It's in my Zet somewhere. Set edit last. So here it's not. I guess it's not here. That's over here. I don't know what that is. What NSX is. So here's the climax, I guess. This is the main point. Because it's such a big network, because it's got a /15, you can see here that when you type it in, right, you're going to get 2 full /16 subnets. And when I saw that, I about jumped for joy. I was like, that is perfect. That is absolutely perfect for what I'm trying to do. You get a 192.18.0 all the way to 1, and then you get a 198.19. That's 2 full /16 class subnets. And you can tell where I'm going with this probably, right? Because when you do that, now, I mean, it just worked out so well on so many levels, and I'm like so happy when stuff like this works out. So I gave the .18, the even number, to all of my internal stuff with /16, and then I gave the .19 /16 to the external one. And if you add the 192, well, I don't have that, but you could definitely do that. You could add another 192 if you wanted to. But I mean, that would be like just for documentation or something. But so, I mean, this is more than enough addresses for me. This is more than enough I will ever need. This is like 131,000 email address for the full, all non-conflicting. Yes, never ever have a chance of conflict. And so you calculate this one. This is, so each of these /16 subnets has 67,000 IP addresses. So even if I went crazy and tried to give like every process in all of my clusters, a competing IP address, I could do it. I could like do really crazy stuff. Now I'm not going to do that, but the reason I mean, that's all well and good. The space and size is well and good, but what's more important to me is how great the numbers work out. First of all I have to type is 192.168.6. Look at how small this is to type. I love that. I love that I don't have to like screw around with typing more than that. Second thing, I mean, these are really, really esoteric, small scale advantages, but when you're setting up documentation for Homeland, stuff like this makes me very happy. Another one, if you use the 169, used for automated private IP addressing. I don't know about that one. I'm not using, no, I got off IPv6 a long time ago. I'm not using IPv6 internally. It's actually, I've read more than one recommendation that for any internal networking, you should stay off IPv6 for now. And I trust those people that I've been reading from, especially since I've experienced that problem myself firsthand. So, I mean, there might be a time when I'll come back to V6. Maybe I'll revisit my entire home network and do IP, really torture myself with IPv6 after I've been playing with this Homelab for 5 years or something, and by then everything should be really mature, but I'm not internally anyway. And by the way, if I was ever asked to set up a local data center, an air gap data center, in my, imaginary scenario, of an underfunded think tank, then that's what I would do. I would, I would use the internal. So I'm super happy to find this network range because, you get your 16, but here's cool. So because the numbers are under 24, wait for it, right? The VLAN identifiers can be the same as your subnet. Yeah. So, yeah, that's right. So my VLAN 18 is also 198.18, and my external is VLAN 19 and it's 198.19. So the subnets perfectly match the VLAN, and I can just I don't have to do tagging or anything. I can just use regular port mapping stuff because and on my Netgear anyway, I can't show you because that's not on right now. I have to reset the router to get the DHCP stuff out of that. And I would block my stream, but I'll do it later. So if you just do the regular non-tagged VLAN setup, port the advanced, Netgear calls it the advanced port mapping, for VLAN port mapping, you only get up to 24 ports, right? So you have to pick 18, 19, which is under 24. Networking stuff I'm really interested. Well, yeah, I mean, all this stuff is listed in my log. Everything that I feel like going with this is all in my Homelab log. So rwxrob/Homelab. Every discovery I've made is on there, so I can go back and remember because I have a horrible memory. And so, by the way, the tagging method did not work. I had to go back to using port loading, overloading, and so here's the 192.198.19/16 is there. And I mean, I'm just absolutely giddy at how easy this worked out once I changed them. Now, obviously, last night I was up all night. Actually, I was up till about 7 a.m. last night. I did sleep a few hours and I went to work for most of the day, and now I'm back doing this stuff. But I just wanted to share this before I left. Now, I'm going to be doing less interesting things here. Hey, Vital. Hey, Vital Stork. If you change your name, I know what your Twitch ID is. So can you use VLAN tag numbers freely? Yes, you can. The VLAN tag numbers go beyond 24 on the Netgear. I'll show it to you, but if you use, at least on the Netgear device that I have, if you use the advanced, the reason I went with the tagged version is I thought that you couldn't have two VLANs on a single port unless you did tagging. That is incorrect. You can do them. And in fact, I wrote a diagram. Let me show you my diagram that I ended up with. Here we go. So this is, oh yeah, I'm glad I took a picture of this. So this is what I ended up going with port-based VLAN. This is my Netgear. And I cannot overly recommend this Netgear router enough. Your ISP uses 7. Interesting. So I went ahead and did port mapping. So this is actually showing you one. I completely, so in the interest of security, you can, by the way, a couple of things I discovered here. First of all, you cannot remove VLAN 1. It's impossible. Netgear won't let you remove it. It says, I went to go remove VLAN 1 and it said, I'm sorry, it needs to be there for UGMP discovery or something, which I don't know what that is. But everybody was talking about the danger of VLAN 1, and even if it's just perceived danger, I don't want to have it in my setup, so I got rid of it. I went into VLAN 1 and I clicked on group operations and I removed it, everything. So I don't have a VLAN 1 at all in my infrastructure. And then I went ahead, I mean, it's, at least in this setup, if you do this with the tagging thing, you have to have it. But when I went to this, it let me remove it, no problem. So I think it might be related. I think the problems are related to tagging, which would be consistent with the double tagging problem we heard about yesterday or 2 days ago or something. So I'm just done with tagging. I don't need it. I'm not trying to become a VLAN network engineer. I just want to separate my physical networks. I really don't care. If I want to go get a CCNA and I'm going to learn how to VLAN the shit out of Cisco routers and know all of this stuff, fine. But that's not my focus. My focus is getting, minimal networking set up at home, the least amount of hassle, and have it be like crazy secure. And so all I had to do was I created 2 VLAN identifiers for 18 and 19, and then I went to I changed it here, and I just went in and I turned on the first 20 ports, and then they're all, by the way, they default to the internal network. Yeah, I don't like Pop! OS either. Did it finally fail you? I'm so sorry that you went through that. I liked it until it stopped working, and then I didn't like it anymore. So anyway, I went to the 19, VLAN ID 19, and here is those ports. So you see these overlap here. These overlapping ports right here are the ones represented by these, skull and crossbones. So because any cable, 3 weeks, well, it's because you're using the latest one, yeah. So any cable connected to these 3, danger ports automatically connects to both the internal network and the external network. This is exactly the same as if I had a separate unmanaged switch and I had 2 physical cables running to 2 physical interfaces from my machine, one of them going to the one switch and one going to the other switch. This is exactly the same thing. And so one of the switches has all of these ports on it, and it's as if all of those were on a physical unmanaged switch, and all of these ports are as if they were on another physical unmanaged switch. So that's what these are. These 4 over here are only outbound to here. So anything connected to that, including my home router. So I'm running a Netgear Nighthawk bridge. It's not using OpenWRT yet, but it will. And this is in bridge format. So any devices that connect to my Wi-Fi automatically connect to my VLAN 19, which is facing the internet. Is protected through double firewalls. It's got there's a Spectrum, actually triple firewalls. There's the firewall that Spectrum has upstream. There's the firewall on the Spectrum device itself, and there's the firewall on the OPNsense router. So I don't know if that's what multi-trunking means. I don't know what multi-trunking means, and I actually don't care at this point. So as I said before, everything that is over here, let's change this. Everything that's over here, all of this stuff is all internet-facing, traditional apartment kind of stuff. My printers and everything are all over there. And everything over here, change the color. Everything over here is all, my VLAN stuff. So that's how we're doing it. And I find that to be very satisfying. So, and then we got the one machine. And I'm talking machine, it's got several virtual machines on it, but the one physical machine that I'm streaming from right now is the only dangerous machine. If this machine got hacked, somebody would gain access to my internal network. It is the only machine. And, I don't mind telling you, this is for the sake of education. Obviously, you would not be telling your potential hackers the best way to break into your private network, unless you're a streamer doing it for educational purposes, which is what I'm doing. don't worry, there's nothing over there, even if you were to break into it. There's a bunch of misconfigured machines right now. There's nothing there at all. But, you know, if there ever were going to be something there, you would have to go there. I encrypt everything at rest anyway, just in case you're wondering. So don't get too excited. Anything worth keeping is encrypted at rest. You really, I'm not going to say anything more than that. I have my own security mechanisms for protecting myself. But yeah. So, I mean, even over here, I practice zero trust, but my zero trust is pretty lame. My zero trust is pretty lame. My zero trust is if it's at rest, it's encrypted. Vengeance hacking. I hope you don't want vengeance. I hope things are good. But yeah. So I mean, you'd have to break into Anton, and then Anton would be able to get over here, and you'd have to know the routing. And I don't mind telling you that the machine, may or may not be not even routed to that network. So, you know, you'd have trouble even getting anything to work. You'd have to know about how to set up your own static route and stuff like that. And I would probably see the static route guide out and anything. I mean, and not to mention the fact that I just can turn this machine off, and this entire network, the only way to access it is, as somebody said, I think Briani said it, the only way to access this entire network, if I turn that computer off, is over there on the console. And the consoles are all, you know, protected with encryption and password logins and everything. So you'd have to, I mean, it would be, you'd have to have, not only would you have to have physical access, but you'd have to be able to defeat the security of every system over here in order to just get access to the network, which is pretty damn secure. Can your servers reach the internet? No, they can't by design. No, and I don't like that. This is an air gap. That's what air gap means. That means it's not on the internet, nor is it ever going to be on the internet. That means the only thing that it ever sees is stuff that you put on it. So this does leave a bunch of questions. So like when we started doing this before, I gave in and I went against my air gap dreams. And I gave everything, you know, outbound access through a firewall, and then protected, you know, so, but that there's a reason for air gap. I mean, the air gap protects you from anything accidentally. So let's say somebody accidentally gets hacked. I mean, in the outside chance that I run something in here that tries to phone home, it would all fail. Now that can be done with firewall rules as well, but there's easy ways around firewall rules, outbound firewall rules. Not to mention just port 80's got to be, even if you proxy HTTP, you know, you can just send up all kinds of data and report home, phone home. Right now, this network, you can't phone home. It's impossible. You can't. There's nothing on this network that allows any kind of internet access whatsoever. So even if it were compromised, it couldn't access it. How do you access the admin consoles? The admin consoles are all plug and play. All of the HDMI, I could show you on the camera later, but you go back and watch the other videos. All of the machines, that's why I have them in the front here, they all have HDMI and a keyboard. I have a keyboard attached to the top of my rack. And so those things, I just plug them in, and I use that machine. I get console access to that specific machine. There are a number of console technologies that I could use, and of course, this I don't need any of that as long as Anton is working, because I can pull up and actually let me show you this. I think I can do this if I have the right IP set. It might work this time. I don't know. I might have to show you. So you can use X forwarding over SSH. You can use X forwarding over SSH. What is my display set? Okay. Export display equals 192.8.255.1:1.0, and I should be able to do, oopsie, do I not have a reverse route back to it? Let me check. I don't think I do. I think I removed it while I was doing some of this stuff. 255.1. Nope, I have it. Let me see. Oh, I didn't do the SSH port forwarding. Yeah, I need to do -x. Yeah, let's see. Echo display. That should not be correct. Yeah. Let's do echo. Wait. What's host name? IP. How do you get the IP address? Just like it's like just the exact. I guess I'd have to detail the interface. Let's do this. Let's say you guys. I don't want to talk to you about X right now. I don't want to give you a full lesson on that. Do you guys know how to do X? Yeah, Cloudflare tunnel for anything web fast. I could do that, but it doesn't have physical access to the internet. So display equals 198.18.255.1:1.0. I need to make sure that matches my cloud server. So I got, this is what I got, VCXSRV. It's a great X server. And so far it's been working very nicely. And I do, it's running 0.0 right now. Yeah. And I think I must not, I don't know if I set 0.0. Let's go back to set 0.0. So by doing that, by the way, I can do stuff like this. I can do xeyes. And what? Oh, I didn't log in with -x. I didn't. But I can log into the next thing with -x. So in order to get X11 forwarding, you have to log in with -x. I got it all working the other day, but I just changed all my IPs, so I'm kind of screwed up right now. So let's do SSH-X, HP, whatever. Okay, so that seems to have worked. If this part worked, oh, it says no auth data using fake authentication. Damn it. I think I need to reset I need to disable authentication. I forgot to turn it off. Which you should not do. There's other ways to get around it, but they're annoying. All right, so let me actually reset up Xlaunch. So this is how you do. This is how you set up Xlaunch. So we're gonna exit and we're gonna run Xlaunch the app. This is on Windows, and we're gonna have multiple windows. We're gonna change the display number to 0 instead of -1. We don't want it to be automatic. And then for now, we're just gonna use start with no clients, and we're gonna disable access control. As long as your network is secure, this is not a problem, right? If it's not secure, then you don't want to do that. You can actually save the configuration, so you can just double click the config file, which I've already done. Let me go ahead and there it is right there. Save, overwrite, yes. Finish. And now when I go, it should, when I hover over it, it says it's 0.0. And yeah, so then we can go, I'm trying to see if xeyes works over on here. I don't think it will. Oh, no wonder. I keep giving it the IP address of Anton and not where I connected from. I need to give it the IP address of this machine. Yeah. So yeah, of course it feels silly for not thinking that. So IP config. So we're on, this is the network address for this machine. It's the first DHCP lease. So I can go back. That's the one. No wonder it hasn't been working. It's been like trying to get to the wrong machine. So 198.19 dot 10 was it, is it 0.1? What was it? A bad memory. That 1.10, 119.1.10. Then that's the IP address of the Windows machine hosting the Anton stuff. But it is also dual ported because it's got that physical thing. It's still connected, so it can see both networks. And that should actually help a lot. Let's do xeyes. Xeyes. And there it is. There's xeyes. So this is running on Windows. This is running on Windows. So our forwarding's working now. And I mean, you can do GLX gears. You can see that there's actual full access to, there's full access to the 3D underlying GPU over X, which I think is amazing. Frankly, X is really old technology, but it still works, man. I mean, it is pretty damn cool. Why are we doing that, Mossy? So to see the memory out of things, to see what caused it to crash before. Yeah. So anyway, now because I logged in with that, we can go into. I don't even think I need to do it anymore. I think it's already there now, because it propagates, and you have to set that up in SSH config, which I did already. You guys want to see that really quick? To get this to work, you have to add this stuff to your config. You have to add forward agent. No, that's not it. I forgot. I where's my? Oh, I must have added it to Anton. Yeah, I did. And Anton. Once Anton has it, everything else gets it. So you don't have to have it everywhere. No, it's not there. Huh? That's weird. I thought you had to activate it. Maybe it's to get rid of the -X. Anyway, so now if we echo display, which by the way, I use this to hack. Look, it didn't propagate the display. Yeah, that's not good. So let's do -X and see if it does. I kind of want to see. No, it didn't. Wow. I am curious. Oh, it worked. Even though it's doing localhost 10.1, the SSH thing grabbed it apparently and sent it all the way back to my X server running on my machine here. Why do I care? Because of what I'm about to do. So I am logged into the machine on the bottom over here. You can't see it. It's under the lights here. Not these lights, but right there. There's a machine. There's a server there. I'm logged into that machine, and it's running several virtual machines. And I want to connect to one, right? So I can do virt display. Virt display. Oh, view. Virt viewer 8. How do I know I have an 8? Vir sh list. It shows that I have Ubuntu running over here. And I can do virt viewer. I did this the other day, but I get so I never get tired of it. I just never get tired of that. That is so cool. Let me just say it again what I did. I am on that machine over there on a terminal, and I am now logged into a fully graphic interface. This could have been Kali Linux. It could have been Windows. It could have been any virtual machine whatsoever. And I now have a console. See all these little things here? These things are actually the menu on that machine. They're the menu on that machine. They're not the menu on something here. The only thing, it tells you right here, it says Ubuntu 22.04. That's the name of the virtual machine. It tells you virt viewer at HPZ 640. You could use VNC. Yeah, VNC is faster than X11, but you don't need it. So VNC is probably the next thing. The problem with VNC is that VNC is a more generic way of doing it, but you have to install, either way, you have to install a server, right? VNC is faster, by the way. VNC and Spice are both faster than good old fashioned X11, and you can forward them through SSH. Yeah, it uses either VNC or Spice or X. So let me show you what I mean here. So, by the way, Do you want to close, when it says close a session, it's like, do you want to close this X session? I say, okay. But I can actually run Virt Manager. Now, we already know that I can run Virt Manager from any other service. XRPRA, I haven't used that one yet. We already know that you can run Virt Manager from, we tried this already, we confirmed this. So you can run Virt Manager from any machine that has X11 support, period. And you can have a default connection. So if you go to, this only has one, but you'll notice, see, these are local, right? So we had a little bit of, hiccup when we were doing it with local connections before. And these are local. The reason they're local is because this tool is actually running on that remote system. It's just the X11 stuff's getting ported in. And then I can click on here. I could get my information here. I could go do, the preferences. I get the machine. This is the, where is the details stuff? Create a new one. No. Where is it? I think it's open. All right. So, here it is. So in there, if you give that, so this is all of your stuff that you get in like VMware or something. We're supposed to live behind HTTP API. So you can more easily integrate managing and creating machines in the web or custom. That would be great. X applications on HTTP port. Oh my gosh. XPRA exposes X applications on it. Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy awesome. I'm glad you shared that. I did not know that. So, look, X applications have been around forever. They're really old. We used to have to use Hummingbird to support consolidated freightways, and where they had an X application that was distributed across the main server. It was crazy because there was like hundreds of people using the same X application. This goes back a long ways. This goes back to the 70s when people were using X to do distributed graphic applications. And the idea of having, GPU acceleration hadn't even entered anybody's mind back then. But so X has a lot of that old baggage that something like Spice or VNC would get around completely, because that's just screen scraping essentially, and sending you bits, and that's always going to be able to leverage the GPU of the host machine. And X11 will never be able to do that. So as far as I know, I don't know that. I truly don't know, because you can run XL gears remotely, which is crazy. Watch. I can do, we don't want to turn, I guess Virt Manager can go off. It's fine. Quit. So I can run my GPU GLX gears over here too. And it puts them in the wrong place, but this is the GLX gears. You notice they're a little bit faster than the ones running on Anton on the Windows machine, because the other ones were running on the machine that's doing the GPU is doing all of the OBS encryption. It's also doing my sound stuff and running my VMs and everything else, all the things that Anton are doing. So it's a little bit smoother over here because the GLX that's happening over here has nothing interrupting it. Hey, hi.
Do we only have 90-liter bags, or do we have a smaller one?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
It seems really big.
It is big, but
this way we could put both our stuff in one bag.
Okay.
Because it's so big.
That's fine.
But that might be.
I'm not gonna have that much stuff.
I know.
If you don't mind.
You had some packed in your.
All right, unpause. Emma Stores, just virtual GL gives you access to remote GPU. X40 uses CPU rendered via Mesa. Yeah, that's what I thought. So, and Mesa's Mesa. It's not bad. But it's just GL gears. It's like nothing, right? It's not gonna do the latest game or something. Good old networked X11. No, what I was trying to say is that it is an option. So it was the option I'm most familiar with, and so I got my virtual manager to run locally. Now, we know that you can run Virt Manager anywhere. Imagine there's probably a Windows version of it that will remotely manage virtual machines without having to have X support. In fact, I need to go figure if that's the thing right now. I need to know this. Anton seems to be healthier. It hasn't crashed lately. So let's go do a search over here. Tmux. why is that doing that? Okay, so was a little challenging. I was gonna say Virt Manager, a Windows client. Yes, that'd be really cool. Virt Manager, current releases. Do they have a Windows download? Current releases, Virt Manager. They have an MSI. Holy shit. virtmanager.org. Yeah. I mean, we got to try this like right now. virtmanager.org. That would be so cool, Espill, if you can get that to work. Communicate documentation download. I don't want sources. I want Windows. They're like, no, you don't get no stinking Windows. Install it from your OS. Others coming soon. Yum install Virt Manager, Fedora, Debian, Gentoo, OpenBSD. Well, where was it? And you're like, do you have a Windows one? Yeah, I doubt it. I mean, if we can get Virt Manager on here, I don't need anything else. And it's got a really ugly website, which is always a great sign. I mean it. Virt Viewer release GPG. Windows MSI. Oh, it's just Virt Viewer. It's not for Manager. They have Virt Viewer, but not Manager. That's fine. Releases are GPG signed. x86. They still have x86 stuff. I'm guessing the Virt Manager doesn't need... No, they just have a tarball. Use libvirt stuff from your Kali KVM. I'm not using it from Kali. No. I'm using it from my Xterm server from now on. I'm not touching Kali. I don't need it. I mean, the interface, the GTK interface for Virt Manager is so simple that it's completely and totally friendly for X11. Yeah. So I don't intend to ever do anything. Is it something I can click on? No. But I would have to be SSHing over there. Most of the time I'm going to be doing VirSH stuff anyway. But that few times when I want to see the console or that I want to I mean, even if I ran a Kali Linux VM, which we have not installed, we could do then. I could just do it remotely. I don't need any of this stuff. So, but I mean, the only thing it would have given us an advantage by running the virtual machine, if we were able to run Virt Manager on a Windows machine, then the process would be, install Virt Manager on your host machine, headless host machine server, and then install Virt Manager on your Windows machine, and then they will communicate each other over SSH or whatever networking. And then you don't have any Windows, you don't have any HTTP cruft to deal with. You don't have Proxmox's entire PHP shit to deal with. You just have a client. And frankly, you have all of that without it. If you use X11 forwarding SSH, which you should probably do anyway, because you need to be forwarding other things, X commands over there probably. So one of the things that this actually also helps me understand is that I can build my own Linux I can build my own. I started building my own containerized security distro based on Arch some time ago, and when I got to Burp Suite and stuff like that, I'm like, oh fuck, right? And those things need a full desktop environment. You can't really run, Chrome unless you have a full desktop environment. You can, but it's nice to know that there are other options besides running a full GNOME desktop or KDE desktop. Hyper-V, yeah. Is Livert is married to KVM when uses Hyper-V. Yeah, they'd have to make a client, and that's probably why the emulator is the viewer is the only thing that's here. You know what I mean? I mean, still that would be fine, right? The only thing you would be losing is the ability to click on things when you're doing your setup, right? But you know, I can't see any motivation for them to ever provide that as long as they have X11 forwarding. I mean, it's not the kind of thing that Proxmox web users are going to like, because they can't go to a web page and do everything because they're so used to that. But who cares? And I'm okay with people providing options to do that, but it's not completely horrible to just, I mean, this is literally all it takes. Log into the machine, type virt manager, and start my thing. That's all. How easier could it be? That's easier than opening a web page. That's, I mean, you know, so I am not at all worried about this method of doing it. By the way, well, I can't, this is literally the console for this machine, so that's the only way to get to the thing. VM2 is the thing, and then we can do, okay, so that's all covered. Let's go back to, I mean, what are the IPs over here? I can't remember. I don't remember what they are. Oh, it's on the 192.168 network. Oh, I forgot. So this stuff is still, I actually have rules in place. So my gateway actually does routing to the 192 network because I have a leftover 192.168 network out there. So rather than like cut myself off from all my machines, I went ahead and added a new network because this is the gateway. So I went ahead and added some routes for the 192.168 network because I haven't got to all of my other machines yet. So I didn't. This is something that I learned from my Homelab a technique that I learned that I'm really pleased with. I didn't know about. So if you are in the middle, if you've got like 50 machines that you need to re-network or re-image or something like that, and you want to get to one at a time, or maybe you just want to redo the networking on the one before you rerun your net plan, what you can do is on your gateway is you can just set up a static route for that net subnet that you're migrating off of, and then you can SSH, because they're all on the same layer 2 plane, they're all connected. You can actually SSH into those other machines. So let me give you an example. SSH mini 1, right? So this needs to change. IP-CA. You can see that this is on the old network, the 192.168.2.1 network, right? But it also has a 19 network, right? Because I recently added it. But I can get rid of the other one. And I wonder if it worked for Mini 2. Probably not. No, it did. Shit. That was a little surprising. So this is one of the old minis that has the old networking in it. And I mean, let me just tell you what I had to do before I figured this out. So why this is so valuable. When I realized that I was messing with my networking, I thought that you're on the same level too, which I am, right? And I always will be. I mean, that's the whole point of that entire. They're all on the same VLAN. They're all on VLAN 18, which is the same layer 2, layer 2. ARP. They have the same ARP thing. So before I discovered this, and I'm kind of embarrassed to admit this, I would have taken that display and plugged in the keyboard and the display into every one of those 35 or 40 machines just to change the IP numbers. And it would have taken me 2 hours. But by doing this, I can actually write an Ansible rule that will change all of the network and restart them all in one command. Just by adding this one route temporarily so that there's 2 routes to get to everything. So by having my gateway at my control, which is another reason, by the way, on your internal network, I think, people were, throwing me a little bit of shade for using a Linux machine as a router and as a gateway, but this actually turns out to be extremely valuable, so that it uses any NIC. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, we could have done that too, I guess. But yeah, yeah. You're talking about an Ansible, right? Right. So, but I mean, it has to get there somehow, right? We have to give it an address or something. So my Ansible inventory rules would have to change. Netplan takes, that's new information to me. It takes stars. So address star 16 star or whatever. I mean, the main point is whether you do a static router or some wildcard route, which I would like to learn how to do, that by changing your gateway to route your old network that you're migrating off of and to leave those static routes in there, you can still get to those machines while they're on to change them. So you don't have to power them down and go to your display and change the network. You don't have to do any of that. You can just go over there and change the network, and then just reset the net plan. And the only time you'd have to ever pull it up on your display would be if you screwed up the new network. And I don't think there's a way to recover from that, because there would be no way to get a packet to it. I mean, if you'd either have to give it, if you give it the wrong, there's no way. That's the kind of the problem I have right now on my Netgear smart routers, but because I have to reboot it to get the new DHCP address. It's still got an IP, and my thing can still find it because it's still on the same ARP network, but it can't connect because there's no routing to it. There's no gateway to get to it. So, I mean, I wonder if I could. No, I can't do that because I'd have to have a web address for it. I have to add a static route inside of my Windows stuff in order to get to it, and that's not going to work. So yeah. And the reason I don't like ISO's a golden image VM and copy VM to HDD. VLAN crash course, setting up switches. I mean, I went through the whole thing. You take Kenton. Yeah, now that you're here, you can like laugh at me. So did you see what I did? Okay, so this I couldn't get to work. I couldn't get this to work with the VLAN tags using 802.1q. I'm almost positive it's because there's some extra magic going on. So that one didn't work. And so I ended up going with, and I talked about this just a little while ago here. It's on earlier in the video, but I went back to using advanced port-based VLAN, and the double hopping thing. And so then I went back to this stuff, and I did these two things, and we just found out that 198.18/15 is open for making things. So I divided that into 2/16 subnets, and one of the VLANs is here, the other one's here, and I removed VLAN 1 completely from the port base, and I don't need tagging at all. It turns out I don't need tagging at all. And then I have this stuff all connected in here like this. So these deadly ones are both VLANs, and these are only internal. And then I this is my thing. I'll go ahead and share this again with you. I've been sharing it all day, but since you're here, since you helped me so much to do the VLAN stuff, thank you for that. Again, thanks to whoever gifted me that year sub to Excalidraw. I appreciate it. Excalidraw. So now we have an air gap network, and I decided that I was like, well, where am I going to do my Ubuntu mirroring and stuff like that? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually, I allocated a ton of resources on the Anton VM. Is Anton acting up again? I might have to redo Anton. Anton has been unhappy recently, and I don't fully understand why. No, it's still there. Oh, that's VM2. So that's a different thing. Anton has not been happy lately. I wonder if it's because I'm port forwarding X traffic. I got 2 applications that are port forwarding X traffic through there. Oh, wow. That was it. Shit. I couldn't exit because I was running X things over the SSH socket. Wow. I just learned something. You can't exit a connection while you have X applications that are tunneling over the socket. What? That's probably why it got hung. Because it had made a connection and it couldn't release the connection because it thought it was tunneling, but it was to an IP that didn't exist. I bet that's why Anton was hung before. That's starting to make sense. Oh, Kenton's like browsing around. Who's browsing around? There he is. Hi, Kenton. We see your cursor. So yeah, it's funny. We had like 15 people like with their little pointers like all over earlier today. It's kind of cool. So, I mean, internet is awesome. So here we are in Anton. I can't remember what we were talking about. Oh, we're talking about setting up the mirroring. So I have, 240 gig available over here. I need 150 gig for an Ubuntu mirror. So rather than try to set up an internal mirror, which I probably, because this is air gapped, right? To something, okay, so I actually screwed up my OPNsense router slightly earlier today by doing the trick of like moving the cable. So I would take this cable and I would move it over here like that, and I can see the internet and everything. And that's all fine and good until you have competing gateways, which is what I had. As soon as I switched over right there, my OPNsense router popped up and said, "Yo, dude, you have a gateway over there." And I was like, "Oh, that's not what I want." Where is it? Okay, I'm trying to find it now. Systems gateways. And so right now I just have my WAN gateways, right? And so I was very surprised, and I forgot that gateways announce themselves. I totally forgot about that. Gateways announce themselves across the entire, layer 2 network. And I was reminded of that. I mean, it's been so fun to do all of this because I knew all of this in like 98, 99, and then I'd forgotten about how all of these things work, right? So I went and opened my OPNsense router after moving the plug over, that little trick I was doing, and I had put in, I had set up that when the system we've been on as a gateway, right? And because I had set it up as a gateway, it showed up here. It showed up here as a gateway. And I was like, what the hell? You don't have any visibility into that thing. Why would you think it's a gateway? And it did. It thought it was a LAN gateway on top of that. So, and the entire reason for that is because I'm thinking is because I moved the cable over. So when you're talking air gap, you're talking actual air gap. So that little trick that I was like going off on and being really awesome, I already knew the DHCP conflict was going to be a thing. And the other day, the reason I think the DHCP was working was we were all having kind of the same problem. So we are not going to do that. We're going to be creating images on Anton and copying over the QCOW things like Mossy wants to do. And we will copy those finished images. We'll take kind of an air-gapped approach to this. We will copy over finished images from Anton, and we'll SCP those images over into the libvirt manager directory over here on the gateway, and then we'll spin up VMs from here, and this will also have a DHCP server on it. Which, by the way, I was also able to confirm that OPNsense runs an ISC DHCP server. In fact, if you connect to the OPNsense gateway router, you can see that it's the same configuration files. In fact, let me see if I can show you this. So if you go to 198.1.1, so you can actually SSH into the OPNsense router. Yes, and I don't remember my password. Oh, I got to do it as root actually. Okay, so here we are. So I am connected to the OPNsense router. And then there's a docs my IP. I already told you I don't care. This is the OPNsense router, right? And there was some question earlier about whether, I'm attached to the same thing. This is the same interface. This is the web interface, and this is the command line interface. And I went here because I wanted to change the DHCP leases, and I was like, damn, because I I had inadvertently, what I did, so don't be me, I changed, it's actually kind of problematic to do this from the web because I went into the interface, I changed the interface IP address to 198.19. It gives me a reminder. It says make sure you change your DHCP leases, which includes this Windows machine, right? And and I hit apply, and then I couldn't get back to the management console to go add the DHCP leases. So all of a sudden, my Windows machine couldn't get to the web address 192.19 because it wasn't there. It turned out the fix for that was I went in, I temporarily changed my settings on Windows to be static, which I can show you how to do if you want really quick. You go into settings, network, and I mean, it's annoying, but it's worth showing you. I clicked on Ethernet, network connected, and I changed it from automatic to manual. And then I turned it over to the 192. I gave it a 192.119 address, and I was able to then go into this thing and change the DHCP leases and fix it all up and everything. But before I figured out to do all of that, I attempted to go in and change. I didn't see any. I did the SSH stuff, and I didn't see any. By the way, this I didn't do from SSH. I did it from the terminal. I connected the terminal to my OPNsense device, which is just so awesome. By the way, those devices are so freaking awesome. And then I got on here. I was like, oh hey, there's nothing here. I mean, you can assign your interfaces and IP address and everything, but I was like, but there's nothing about DHCP leases here. And I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna go dig around in the shell. So I opened up the shell and I was like, where is anything about DHCP on this entire system? Because I don't remember. I don't remember how, and everything's changed so much, right? So let's say anything that's got DHCP in the name. I was like, ooh, what's all this? What's all this? And I was doing this from the terminal, from the console over there. And I didn't have tmux, so I had to scroll, but whatever. And here it is. It's like var etcd dhcp6c.conf. I'm like, well, what is that about? So then, where's the Etsy stuff? Is there anything in Etsy? Let's see. And so there it is. Var Etsy DHCP 6C. So var Etsy DHCP. Well, anyway. And then we're going to go via DHCP 6C, which is probably the comp files that are managed. So, and I'm like opening this up. I'm looking for my DHCP leases and stuff. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay. So it's got all of my stuff here. It's got my keys. We could go into DHCP, what is it? LAN. Where's the LAN one? DHCP. Well, what I was trying to get to is that oh, are we not using bash? Nope, we're not. Shit, I just have to use a good old VI. What is my shell? It must be a regular. Anyway, it's different today than it was last time. When I looked at it, it had a reference to it. And then I was like, okay, well, how do I start it? And this is how I know it's ISC compatible. Because when I went to go restart it, I was like, okay, where are my services? By the way, this is why you have to know BSD. This is why you should learn Unix and not just Linux. I went to services and service service lists. No, service. I don't, my BSD is pretty bad. So, it's dash L. And I was like, okay. And there's the DHCP stuff, right? But this is not it. That's the client. So here it is right here. DHCPD. In fact, I'm in the wrong place, actually. I'm in the wrong place. I'm in CD, Etsy. I need to remember this stuff. DHCP. Where is this DHCP? DH client? No, where's my DHCPD? Let me search for DHCPD. Find. Where's my find? D. Varlog DHCPD. Such manufacturers. How to DDoS yourself? Yes. I didn't DDoS myself, thank God. Varlog user local etc DHCPD OPNsense -d. There it is. User local etc. etc DHCP d.conf. And here we go. Option domain name. It's still using example.com. I already came that already. Wait, what? This is not the actual one. This is not it. This is not the actual one. I can't remember where I was. I found it. But these files started to look familiar to me. And the reason they look familiar is because they're ISC DHCP files straight off the Talos website. And so the question about whether OPNsense supports ISC DHCP is an absolute resounding yes. And you can go in and configure this stuff by yourself. Now, the problem with doing that is that OPNsense is notorious at chucking everything. So you have to make sure that you save an OPNsense config regularly to some other, backed up GitHub or something. And potentially probably, there's no secrets in there, but you could, use git crypt if you want to do that, whatever. But the answer is yes, it's ISC. And the way that I really saw that was I did the whole statuses thing, and I saw that all of the DHCP services are ISC-DHCPD, and the last time I saw ISC-DHCPD was in the Talos documentation. So the answer is yes, OPNsense can be, and it has the TFTP protocol thing and everything. So at one point last night, I actually deleted the video, but at one point I was actually seriously considering making, where's my other, making this, using the DHCP services from OPNsense to serve up my DHCP stuff for my VLAN 18 over here, which is going to be all my Talos stuff. And this morning, after getting some sleep and reconsidering my life and everything, I was like, no, I'm sticking with the air gapped, and never the twain shall ever meet again. I'm never, ever going to copy that thing over because I don't want to screw up this by saying it's gateway, or God forbid we have two DHCP services on the same layer too. No, I'm not doing that. So that meant that I had to pick one. I had to commit. I mean, I know you can do DHCP relay, and I have thought of doing that. I had thought about putting DHCP services here and then just having a relay that goes up here for anything else. But I'd rather they just just be totally air gapped. They're physically separated. I wouldn't be able, any of that kind of magic would require a VLAN set up with the cable across and firewalling and all that. And we're not going to do that. So it's air gapped. The point being that never the two networks shall meet again, which means that all of the standard services you would need on any network need to be created. And this is actually one of the main reasons to air gap your network at home. It may be like, well, I don't want to do that. Because every time, if you air gap a network, you are literally building an entire network, an entire data center network. That means you have to make choices about, do I have DHCP services? Am I going to set up a VPN? Do I have DNS services? Do I run my own DNS? Do I have different subnetting on my internal thing? Now I'm free to make all of those decisions without it impacting my main network at all. And so, I mean, you don't have to be, a hyper secure organization, with nonprofit funding or whatever, to appreciate the lack of impact that has on your family home network. So let me make a point here. So, you ever have SDNS? I do, but only on this front stuff out here. Anton has it on occasion. I give in and use my Google DNS. I don't want to do that though. So so here, and so what we have here. So I actually, by having the air gap network, rather than spending any amount of time at middle of the night when my kids are all asleep, which is hard because my stepson stays up till 3 a.m. And without impacting them and telling them to get off the network, which he, by the way, would. He's you know, he's very understanding. He would do that. But rather than impacting my home network, it's kind of fun because my home network turns out to be kind of a test for me. So if I was actually running, kids, they own VLAN, yeah. So the kids in my network, my family and Doris and everybody, they actually are my users. And so by having this set up, I never impact them. They don't, they're never impacted. Their entire network and world runs merrily along while I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff to this other network. The only way, so let me give you an example. It's like if I were to say, like I was doing, I was thinking, oh, hey, I'm going to use my OPNsense main outbound router, to gateway router to do, you know, my DHCP for Talos, right? And so I'm on there and I'm screwing around on my OPNsense router and I get it wrong and I get it right, something like that. You know, I mean, it's relatively safe to do that, but there's always a risk that I'm going to mess up this network, right? There's always a risk that something about this network that these users are using is going to get screwed up. Well, by having an air gap network, there's nothing I can do on this network that will ever impact the internal network. And there's nothing on the internal network I can do that will impact the other network, as long as they're, you know, what was the term? Conceptually separated through VLANs. And I love that. I really love that, because that means that I can set up my own switches over here and, you know, Linux-based routing. I can make VMs. I can run PFSense if I wanted. If I wanted, I could run OPNsense or PFSense as a VM over here in the gateway instead. And I can have all that stuff be on a completely different layer to ARP addressing scheme, so I can broadcast the shit out of this. So if I end up screwing up Kubernetes and making some sort of ARP storm, it doesn't impact my other users. It only impacts this internal Kubernetes clusters and all of these machines that are over here. Now, if I wanted to get even further with this, which I actually might do, I could subnet out my separate Kubernetes clusters and then provide static routes on my Linux gateway, which is just, you know, the same routing rules that would be inside of any managed switch had I been doing it another way or had a router or something like that. So I can just keep using the base routing on this machine, and I can manage all of my VLANs and have all the kind of networking playtime I want to over here without ever impacting all this. If those were all on the same layer 2 ARP addressing space, so if these were all on the same addressing space, I can't even mess with the HCP configuration. I can't even do it because it would be storming the crap out of the other DHCP server. I'm guaranteed I would mess it up. So by having them physically on a separate network, this is the reason that I think, I mean, you know, I came under fire a little bit recently, not fire, but a little bit of criticism, like, why would you ever use an air gap network? And I just want to state once again that is the why. That is the reason why. The reason that you want an air gap network is because you want a full playground, and you don't get a full playground without an air gap network. You just don't get it. You do not get it. I don't have to pay a bunch of, I mean, I can actually still put physical switches over here and everything, right? And if there's any data that I want from my air gap network to get out to the world or to get on my other systems, I can always create a synchronization across here, which is what I'm going to do. And that was all to justify the decision if I'm going to put a Ubuntu mirror, which I am. If I'm going to put an Ubuntu mirror someplace, I'm going to put the Ubuntu mirror right here. And these, yeah, so that's where that's going to be, and stuff. So, yeah. Hi, how you doing? Yes, this is Anton right here. This is Anton running inside of inside of TV, which is the, actually probably should change this. Let's put TV/Anton. So TV is the Windows machine that I'm running right here. And then we have the other stuff. Yeah. Ubuntu just came out. A new major release to do LTS. Well, I might do that for my images and stuff, but yeah, this is the danger, Will Robinson. Danger. Danger. They have the same. Actually, this is not a PVID anymore because I use have default. It's not have. We should probably say share VLAN 19 and VLAN 18. Yeah, that's what they're playing with. I keep linking to it. It seems to be popular, so you guys want the link? I need to post the link someplace in my about page, or we need to make a command for it. Hey, is Matt still there? Matt's got access to make a command. We need to put this link into a command so people can just do draw or a whiteboard or something, and it goes to that page automatically. So yeah, that's all the people, all of you are right here that want to like look around with the different things here. By the way, if you want to do light and dark mode, it's up in the corner. Sorry for that. God, look at that. It's like I'm going to kill somebody. Did you see? Watch my room. Watch how bright my room gets. It lights up my whole room. Because Silicon Valley, yeah. So it's so fun to have you guys. We should make one where we can actually draw, but then everyone's going to draw penises. I don't think that's against terms of service to see a drawn penis, but pulls out their phone in a movie theater. Yeah, exactly. I know. That's like, does that actually let you click on something? That was kind of cool. Wait, do you have, please tell me you don't have edit access. Oh, you're clicking on things. Now I'm worried. Did I just give edit access to something? I think I might have. Shit. Let me save a copy. If you're doing that, how do we do that? Let's do it. Let's do a export to save. Because I don't want to lose it. Is your flashlight turned on? Give him a chalkboard and he will try. How are you doing that? Did you actually draw that? Apparently you can select things, but you can't. Apparently, this is new. This is new information. You can't edit, but you can select things, yeah? Try it again. How are you doing that? Someone tried to draw something, but please don't ruin it. I made a backup, but can you actually draw? I know, we're gonna, for coding, it would be awesome. There is a bunch of things like this for coding, actually. I can edit it on my copy, I guess. Oh, you have a copy of it? So you guys are editing. I think it's interesting that it does show what you've selected, though. You know what I mean? It matches your color, too. Here, somebody, yeah, somebody who's not purple select something. Like somebody who's orange. Oh no, you guys are all the same color. So anything that's selected by you gets that's cool. So like you can say, hey, I think this thing needs this, and I think this thing needs this. Wow, that's so cool. I mean, it's good old WebSocket stuff, you know. You gotta love the web for this kind of thing. This is what I mean. That's why I'm not anti-web applications. I just think that we should not forget that the web is for documents too. That's all. Always sober. I am sober-ish. Yes. We'll run VMs. Yeah. I'm not going to use the ESXi or Proxmox. I already tried both. ESXi wouldn't install on the clients. They're too small, which are now going to be running Talos. And Proxmox croaked at 14 in the cluster. So Proxmox is great if you're just going to manage it on one system. I am going to be using libvirt directly, Virt Manager. I'm going to be using Virt Manager and VirusH, and I'm not going to use any other magic there. And I'm I wonder if this site uses some form of React framework to build a site. Probably. I would guess it is. I would guess it definitely is using something. It's kind of fun though, huh? Especially for streaming. I love it for streaming. I'm like so excited. Again, thank you again to whoever gifted me the year sub to this. It was like $75. And I got a very kind email from a customer support person at Excalidraw. It's like, we're not set up for it, but somebody bought you your membership. If you want it, here, come get it. PyScript. There are a number of collaborative coding things out there. Yeah, that's not hard at all. Replit is probably the easiest for most people to get used to. And we might do that at some point. I feel like things are kind of getting organized. I also feel like this particular stream about the VLAN stuff is kind of winding down. And so I'm gonna consider. I mean, we've done everything that I intended to do for today, which was I wanted to show everybody the new VLAN setup. I'm super excited about the 198 network, and I've set up the separation. So the next things that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be creating a standard Ubuntu image for my control planes, and I'm going to be creating a standard Ubuntu image for my my worker nodes, and that will be designed to run on as a virtual machine. And then I'm also going to make these tridents here, and there'll be a standard image for those as well, because these the tridents will probably be an Ansible rule set because these are physical and they have the same NVIDIA GPUs in them, and I need to get all of those configured properly. So I'm going to be doing all that. I might jump ahead and actually finish out the Talos stuff. The Talos stuff, just in case you're wondering, so now that we have the separation VRF implementation on the OPNsense instance, I have not, you're talking about setting up an OPNsense instance inside here as my main router and stuff like that. Yeah, I have thought about that, but I'm probably just going to use good old fashioned Linux routing, and just keep it that way. And so in case you're wondering, this host system, HPZ 640, this host system is going to be the one that's going to have DHCP and DNS and all that, and it will be by far the fastest because it will not have to be running for a VM or anything like that. I've heard that some VM networking stuff is faster than this actual on bare metal, but I could make a single VM to do that, and I'm probably not going to do that because there's arguments the other way. So the host system will be the gateway. That's what I'll do, my net plan, stuff like that. And then the VMs, I can store the VMs and save them off and even put them in storage or whatever. And then if I needed to rebuild this entire machine, I could just rebuild it using Ansible rules and then just put the VMs back on there if and when I need to do that. But why does that matter? Because the other thing that's going to be on here is that there is going to be a Podman container runtime not associated with Kubernetes on this. And people might ask, well, why are you doing that? I thought that was a bad idea. It is a bad idea to put a container runtime on a Kubernetes node, but it's not a bad idea to have a container runtime on a VM host machine or a general server. In fact, you pretty much need it. Plus deliver, plus to manage. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. It's actually already got that right now. In fact, I just showed this. I'll show it again. But so by the way, we're on the PFSense router. So I'm just going to go ahead and exit instead of reboot, make sure I don't reboot or stream will stop. Reboot, power off system, log out. All right. So this is how I manage it. So right now I'm logged into the HP system, and I can run a VM just from here, and there's my VM. And this is the Spice interface to, actually it's X11 interface to my VM running on that machine. If I want to make a new one, I can do virt manager, and that will run Vert Manager here, and I can go through all the steps necessary to create a new Vert Manager. Yeah, libvirt is really awesome. I fully give Mossy all the credit for getting me on this. He's been on me, or they have been on me for more than a year to do this. And the main reason I didn't do it up to now and was stuck on VMware was because I didn't have a separate server for virtual machines to run Linux on. Once you have, my new official recommendation to anyone is the first thing you should buy after you get a laptop with Linux on it, which is, $200-300. That's not that much. The next thing you should buy in your home lab is a server. This is X11 forwarding, right? This isn't Spice. No, this is just X11 forwarding. So I installed an X11 server for free on Windows. You have an HPZ 640 refurbished. Yeah, they're super nice. And because it's running Linux on there, it makes perfect sense to manage all of your VMs over there using, if you need a graphic interface, using Vert Manager. But, and so if you don't have that, it's a great investment. I agree. But now it's my gaming machine. Yeah, I could game on it. It's got a pretty good GPU on it, which is kind of sad because the VMs that are running over there are not. I mean, I could do some machine learning on it as well. It's got a pretty good hefty GPU on it, and who knows? Maybe I'll. I mean, there's nothing. I could put a Kubernetes endpoint node on there if I wanted to. I could make this gateway also a Kubernetes node, like a special Kubernetes node, and make it HPVM. Yeah, but so by doing it this way though, then I can use libvirt to fire up Vert Manager if I want a graphic thing. I use VerSH if I want to do any things related to the command line stuff. And then, I mean, let's be real. I want to do infrastructure as code, so most of my spinning up of VMs is going to be through Ansible, and that's going to be done from. I don't want to use Proxmox for that. That's nothing I could ever use in the enterprise. So I would rather set up Ansible rules on my central workstation that can spin up VMs the way I want to and do what I used to do with Fluff. So in case you don't know, about a year and a half ago, I started an application called Fluff, which had this notion of a provider using either a VM. We fought about whether we should support libvirt. We had libvirt providers, VM and VMware, and then VMware, and then VirtualBox. And the idea was that you would have a big enough desktop that you would be able to run Fluff on your desktop and then spin them all up using a virtual machine. The truth is that none of that is really needed if you have a standalone VM host machine, because in the VM host machine, you can just use Ansible rules to spin that up. Terraform if you want. You can just use Ansible rules, and then all of the knowledge that you have is not going into this cutesy thing that I was going to make to build, local clouds on your home desktop, which we still need, by the way. There is still a need to use Cloud Init based images for your home desktop images. That doesn't exist. VMware still can't run a QCow, as far as I know. It still cannot load a QCow image that's already been pre-made, or it can't use Cloud Init to spin up a new image, which is what we really wanted to do. We wanted to use Cloud Init to dynamically build new images, and yeah, they're fun. And then we ended up not doing that. So I, instead of doing all of that work, I want to do the same thing with Ansible, and I want to be able to write Ansible rules that'll use Cloud Init to make new images and stuff like that. It may be that we still need to write Fluff but if I do it this time, I'm not going to do anything but libvirt and KVM. I'm not going to support anything besides that. Right, to load VM packages. I know you got to do the whole QEMU rotation thing. Yeah, and we already know that. We went through that 2 years ago. We're going to go through it again, probably soon actually, because I need to start building out my images here, and I don't want to have to go through the interactive nature of the image building, and I want to actually get a golden image, as they say, and have a golden image for my control planes, a golden image for tridents, and for those things, and then we can kind of do that kind of thing. Yeah. You like the nano rig? Yeah, I should probably talk about that's probably jalopy. That's probably jalopy. We're over here. We're like creating a vortex around IRL streaming rig. Yeah, people have wanted me to show them how to do the IRL streaming rig for a while. Speaking of which, in 2 days I'm going to be on the road, so I don't know how much of it I'm going to be able to stream, but I'm going to be out on the road Saturday through Wednesday of next week, and I'm going to be really, really busy. I'm going to be working and doing all the stuff with my web. I'm going to try to stream a lot of it, but I also have to work during that time. So I don't know. We'll see. If I do any IRL streaming, it'll be me at the coffee shop, like tapping away at the coding thing and trying to start some music in the background. Yes, we're coming to NYC for sure. I'm going to be in NYC in probably 3 days. So, yep. I don't know if I'm going to be anywhere near where you all are. Yeah. One of the things I'm the most worried about is this is going to entirely depend on. One of the reasons I don't want to say where I'm going, because I don't know. I have to think through it. So I am going to take my IRL streaming rig and my charger and all that stuff, but I'm also going to have to work. I don't want to go to a coffee shop and be streaming from the coffee shop and tell you where I am and get the stream sniped in a way that stops me from getting work done, because I actually do need to get work done. So I'm kind of on the fence about how much of that, because you don't know where you're going. I don't know the exact spots that I'm going. I know the towns I'm going to, though. Yeah. I do. I know the town specifically. I mean, one of them I mentioned before. We're going to be in Alfred, so I don't mind telling people that. We're going to be there for a while, actually. We're also going to Connecticut. Yep. We're going to be on UConn campus. We're going to be on UConn campus. We're going to be at Alfred University in Alfred, New York, and that's it. That's pretty much it. We're just going to be taking it kind of lazily to get there. To do what? Can you interact from Windows to Vert? That's what I've been doing. Zebs, I am on Windows right now. Every time I run Vert Manager, this is Windows. This, what you're looking at, when that pops up, if it pops up, this here is running on a Windows machine. I'm going to prove it. So right here, see this thing right here? There's my X11 server. It says I have one client connected right now. And the client that it's connected is this one right here, applications. You can run applications from here. I can show the log, stuff like that. So that is, this is on Windows. The client, the X client is a Windows app. If I drag it between my Windows and stuff, it's just that it's running over X11. It's tunneling it through SSH, and it's running it on that remote system, which is 3 hops away. Actually, it's 3 SSH tunnels away, but all the X traffic is getting forwarded back through. So yeah, a YouTube video building all this like a series. I have. It's called Homelab Init, and it's already a series. That's a great idea. Speaking of which, now it's probably time for me to plug all of this before I leave. I am going to leave you so you can have a break from me. I don't have a link to Homelab yet, sorry. But if you go to youtube.com, RVXRob, and you go search for 17 hours ago, that one got posted. And then there used to be a Homelab Init. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Homelab Init. QCA needs to go off. We need to take that down. I need to change this right now. I do. I need to get that one off because it's good, but it's not a primary thing. I don't do the QCA all the time anymore, so I mean I want to, but how many things I want to do, I just don't have time. let's move you way, way down. Yeah. The Homelab Init's got way more stuff in it these days. Beginner Boost is probably the most important thing. Why hasn't it got more items in it? That's weird. Break time. Oh god. What are we looking at? Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna, yeah. Anyway, so let me refresh. My wife has decided to vacuum on top of everything else, so it might be time for me to just take a break. Do you guys want me to turn music on and leave the stream going, or do you want me to not? Should I turn music on and leave the stream on, or should I go away and come back? I should probably go away and come back. Let's go raid somebody. Because I can't promise you I'm going to come back anyway, so. Yeah. Turn on your music. No. I like your music, but no. So let's go ahead and raid somebody. Anyway, so yeah, there's a Homelab Init. This video is going to be up here very soon. I mean, the last one I posted was a long time ago. So, yeah. I should probably flip this one around. All right, so bye, YouTube.